Easy ye, how are we?
Shawnee, what's happening?
I am getting used to running with my top off, sir, because it is indeed High Rocks week.
Honest to God, I'm actually going to ask for a sponsor to come and pay you to put your clothes back on. Do us all. Is there any good T-shirt sponsors out there that pay Sean to keep his clothes on? He was with that. Why do they feel the need to take their clothes off?
So I don't know if you know that there's actually a real serious issue with this one, is that, and it always happens for some reason, High Rocks in town, the air conditioning breaks.
Oh yeah,
it's
is that what it is?
it just gets so
in
hot
Dublin.
in there. Yeah,
October in
the same Frankfurt in December last year to me, man. The air conditioning just went. It was gone. But like I said in the podcast the other week at the Kevin English one, I'm a fat mess, so I might keep me top on for this one.
Oh yeah. Well,
I'm only doing a relay though as well, so otherwise I get cold waiting around for the next stations coming back on.
I might actually start a little knick-knack business of High Rocks body tattoos for the day. Do you know, for sponsors and stuff. So you can actually still sponsor them on their back and all. This is great.
Man,
I bet you people are doing that already, are they?
You're 6 steps behind. The BSM ones and all the rest are always constantly in the shoulders of people. Man.
No. I'm not talking. They stole that from Iron Man, putting numbers on legs and all. I'm talking like full body. It's like you're in the nip, except it's a tattoo of a T-shirt,
like body paint.
Yeah, you get all... No, we need a slightly better than body paint because I'm not artistic. I have to print
it. Will it sweat off then?
Huh?
Like, or like Sean, those things you put on T-shirts.
They aren't taking their clothes off. They aren't taking their clothes off because they're sweating loads. They're taking it off because they want us to look at them.
Nah, Steph, you got to sweat. It's very hot. Very hot in the house. Those big balloon things coming through the tunnel when you're waiting and AC/DC's playing, man. It gets very hot in there. Very hot.
Yeah, okay. So anyway, you went for a run in your garden with your clothes off in November. Go on, tell us more.
Apart from me running the garden with top off, I really have no High Rocks advice for people. But I know people who do. Previous episodes we've had Tom Hogan, we've had Sean Noble, we've had Aoife Faye on, we've had Ciara Foy on. In those episodes, a lot of great High Rocks tips. This one is not specific, and I can't really talk about all the great things I've done, run around my garden with chickens and kittens and me top off. But other Irish people are doing absolutely phenomenal. Katrina Jennings, 100 miles. 12 hours, 37 minutes and 4 seconds. And you must be thinking, my God, that's an impressive time. World record time. Just saw it there on the Dundee page. Phenomenal. Absolutely
that is
class.
Absolutely amazing. When you put that in perspective, you did the 100 mile in just under 24 hours.
Oh, a little over 12 hours. I was at the halfway point thinking, I'm touch and go here. Yeah. And
that's phenomenal. I can't even comprehend it. And it's absolutely phenomenal. But I just don't even understand the level it takes to do that. You know, like that is phenomenal.
She's running a pace. We give out about doing 5Ks and stuff. She's running faster than we run for 5Ks, I think. I'm not too sure in the maths, but I'm assuming it is. And we can't hold that for 20 minutes. And there she goes with 12 plus hours. It is absolutely phenomenal. But she's not the only Irish person that did phenomenal over the weekend.
No, this was a great week for our triathletes and a lot of our previous guests. It's been the World Championships of the 70.3 Ironman were there. And we have had some phenomenal athletes on. We were amazed by them then. We are still amazed by them today. Aisling Wire was the first of the Irish home in the female race, 5 hours and 55 seconds. In the female 30-34, fourth in the world out of 356. Absolutely amazing. And it wasn't an easy course. Phenomenally challenging course. Phenomenal effort. I have to say, and as I go through these, well, maybe I'll touch on it after. Becky Woods, previous guest of the podcast, 5:06:43, third place out of 286 in the female 30-39. And then there was another lady, one of the Irish, again, placing top 4 in the 40 to 44 category, 5 hours, 4 minutes, 44 seconds. 3 female Irish athletes in the female race doing absolutely phenomenal. 4th in the world, 3rd in the world, and 4th in the world in their age categories in a very, very tough race in the World Championships. And to just touch on the dedication that these women are putting into the sport and the men out there who are putting it in as well. You know, while we talk about going for the beers and while we talk about doing this, to be that proficient as an amateur in 3 different sports, to take on other amateurs around the world in an age group category race and to do it in the way they're doing it is phenomenal. again, we talked about Katrina, the effort, the persistence, the dedication it takes is phenomenal. And I have to say, it's absolutely inspiring. We're so lucky we had them on the podcast before they were famous. That's all I'm saying, Sean. No, but for these ladies, it's phenomenal. Absolutely amazing. Well done to their clubs. Well done to the people who were there to support them, and they had great support over the weekend, because when you're taking on events like this, as many of our guests say, it is absolutely amazing to have great people around you to help you go on and achieve these great feelings. And we've had it with Rachel Smith on the podcast as well before a couple of times, and knowing what she gives, it's absolutely phenomenal. So a big well done to them. It's amazing work. We as a collective in the endurance world are so impressed, so amazed, so proud, and to get a glimpse into their lives, and only an hour, that's all we get, only an hour to understand the hours upon hours and upon hours that these people and athletes are putting in. It's absolutely phenomenal. So a big well done to everyone who world record holders, a place in the World Championships, and being ranked quite highly in the world. What a weekend for Irish athletes.
And the lads at the moment are currently out in the Ironman half the moment, so that's why we have no update on them. But how do we transition from body paint and high rocks to like phenomenal athletes? That is the weirdest transition we've ever done on the podcast.
well, the high rocks people are saying we are phenomenal athletes, Sean. What are you on about?
We are. I'll take my top off to prove it.
It is good. And look, and what we talk about is the planned events, the races, and this episode is slightly different.
Do you know what? This is what I love about certain episodes when it comes to endurance is the journey, the story. So when I've done stuff like, and nothing compared to what our next guests have done the pod and what they did, but just like when I've done like eco trails and the longer runs and stuff like that, and just the longer time, I love the journey and different ups and downs. But this one, a relay of 6 lads, 440 kilometers, and as you hear the intro music, just think for a second, if you had 5 other lads with you, how would you approach this? And they've also done it as well for Movember, mental health. We touched on that a little bit near the end of the podcast, but their story on this one, and even just the mystique of the races and not too sure what's going on, and just it was mind blowing. I actually felt old in this one, Eric. I felt like I was out of touch almost with the Instagram and like the dark web kind of things, and not too sure where the race starts and all the rest. But it is a phenomenal journey. Seriously impressed with these 6 lads did.
Yeah, it's absolutely amazing, and you are old, Sean. I'm here to make sure you're reminded of that. Oh, what's that whole internet you've got there? But yeah, great episode, great story. It's actually an episode I didn't know what there was so much secrecy around this. I hadn't a clue. I didn't know what we were getting ourselves into, and I was absolutely amazed. It's a great story with great people, and as you touched on there, we are into November. It's not a gimmick. There is a lot of guys out there, and the reason why Movember and a lot of the charities exist is suicide rates amongst young men is some of the highest ever. We have all had tough times. I know myself in my life, I've had tough times. We've had people affected in our close circles about this. Mm-hmm. If you are one of those who is listening to this, or know someone who's listening to this, it's okay to talk about it. It's okay to find help, and we're going to touch on this because it matters. We know so many people even involved in our sports that have been on the brink of suicide, and some guests who have mentioned it as well. So it's very close to home and closer than it realizes. And that's not to take it away on the episode. It's to highlight that it's not just Movember for the sake of Movember. It's not just because we want to have a mustache and look cool. It's a real meaning behind it, and again, that's what these guys were motivated to do. So it's a phenomenal episode with great people. Again, another huge shout out to our fantastic athletes. But it's time for us to shut up and get into this week's episode of the Any Given Run Day podcast.
Let's go. Back at the end of August, 6 lads took on a 440-kilometre relay race in the south of France to raise money for Movember. 6 lads in one van, with one of them bringing his mum, dad and sister as their only crew. 3 of them are here now to tell their story. David, Ben and Frank, welcome to this week's episode of the Any Given Run Day podcast. How you guys getting on?
How's it going, lads? Thanks for having us on. Really appreciate it.
Thanks, David, lads. Tell us about the van. I'm only joking. No, I'm only joking. So, David, what brought you guys to France? What was the purpose of getting? Obviously, we've 3 of you guys here with us on the call. You you reached out to us when it was very top secret at the time, if I recall. But what exactly was this?
Know a runner who's always chasing the next finish line? Or maybe you are that runner.
Meet the Ultra Pure Sports Recovery Kit. Everything you need for faster, better recovery after those long runs.
Inside, you'll find the Ultra Pure Epsom salts gel, arnica cream, wintergreen heat rub, soothing bath salts, and a free gift, all designed with your recovery in mind.
Perfect post-race, post-training, or after a long weekend run. This set is the ultimate treat for hard-working muscles.
Beautifully packaged and ready to gift for your running buddy or you.
Made in County Mayo by an award-winning Irish family business, Ultra Pure means quality you can feel and trust.
Find the Ultra Pure Sports Recovery Kit in select pharmacies and health stores nationwide, or shop now at ultrapurelabs.ie.
By listening to this advert, you are supporting Irish businesses and this podcast. But for now, it's time to get back to the episode.
Yeah, so the race is called the Speed Project, and they have multiple races throughout the year. But the whole idea was founded by this guy called Niels when him and his friends essentially ran from Los Angeles to Las Vegas. This was years ago, and then they thought it was really cool, and they were like, "Here, why don't we like get more people involved?" And like over time, they had a lot of people coming and racing. Then it became over time. And then it slowly kind of developed into more of a business. But they kept the whole selling point about the race as it being unsanctioned. So there's no rules. It's not actually officially like they didn't get permission to do it. So as a result, like there's no actual application link. You can't just apply. You either have to get invited or kind of somehow just get your hands on the application link. So since they done the LALV race, they've expanded out to like other regions, I suppose. So the one we did was obviously in France, from Chamonix to Marseille, this is only their second year doing it. So last year was their first time doing one in Europe. And then they also do one in South America, which I think is only new as well.
The premise of this, David, obviously is a run. So you're running or you're getting your hands on an invite to go run from one location to another. Is that what it is?
Yeah, exactly. So it's a relay race, one person running at all times in a team. And yeah, you're essentially running from, in our case, Chamonix to Marseille, non-stop, one person running at all times. Get there as fast as you can, essentially.
How'd you first hear about the race? This mysterious thing where like locations and invites coming out of God knows where. Sounds very dark webbish to me. I'm not really that
Sounds like
guy.
the start of Hostel.
So
yeah,
how did you first find out about this guy? And then can you talk about how you got this? Really?
Yeah. So
no one listens to this podcast. Don't worry, David. No one will know.
yeah. No, I might make up my own little secret language or something just so that no one actually catches on. While it is secret and everything, like they kind of allow people to post whatever they want after the race is done. Because the only reason they don't want people to talk about it is because they don't want any of like the authorities to know in advance so that they'll like know that it's happening and then something to happen where it gets shut down. So after the race, they invite a load of big influencers to come. So like a lot of them post, vlogs or big videos on the race. So one of the athletes that I follow, Jake Dearden, he done it a couple of years ago in the LALV, and then I watched it and I was like, that would be so sick to do with a group of mates. And then I looked into it and I realized I have no clue how to get into this fucking thing. Then like that must have been like 3 years. It was just been literally like finding any way of getting in. And then last year I kind of just took it more serious, literally messaged anybody that had any sort of link to the race at all on Instagram and was like, can you get me in? Can you get me in? Can you get me in? And must send over like 300 or 400 messages. And then I stumbled across one guy that just happened to be involved like in the organization of the race that I didn't even know he was. And then he was like, I got you. And then sent me the link and I filled it out and he got us in. So it was completely by chance, but bit of luck, I suppose.
A guy you don't know sends you this link to go to France. No rules, no route and stuff, you say. So that's how I assume you decided however you got 500 people roped into this. And they're like, so you got a guy, sent the link to you over DM, don't know the person well, but we're all in the France to do this thing.
Yeah, so he was like...
Just me, your alarm bells ringing here, guys. No.
Did you pay him? Did you have to pay for entry?
Yeah, like the race itself, like on Instagram, like they have like 60,000-70,000 followers. Like the race is like very widely known as like being a real thing.
Yeah.
It does sound dodgy when like you say like that, but I suppose it kind of adds to the whole prestige of the thing when you actually get your application. Like holy shit, like I have a chance to get in this time.
Deadly.
So yeah,
Some
it was
bloke
quite
arrives
sick.
outside David's house, get in the boot.
Yeah,
You're going to France.
I was like, is this guy really just pulling my leg here now and like asking me to pay $1,400 and I'm never going to see it again or something?
Jeez.
That's a lot of money. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. It's yeah. They're definitely making their money back off in fairness. But,
I've heard your side of it from here. Frank, jump in here. When you heard from David, hey, I've got this invite for the relay race. We're heading over to France. What was your first thought, or how did that conversation even come about?
To be honest, very apprehensive. But well, first thing was like, yeah, let's do it. Then got the actual like form you have to fill out, and honestly, it's like signing your life away. It's like, we are not liable for this. We're not liable for death, and you're like, yeah,
Wow.
didn't plan on that, but thought it was once in a lifetime, to be honest. Like, they're going to race like that, and I knew like how hard David had tried to get in, so I was like, right, if I don't do this now, I'll see 6 other lads and 5 other lads alongside David doing this race, and we'll just be like beating myself up the whole time that I didn't take the opportunity. So yeah, it was class. Sorry to run alongside 5-year mates and race across France was a pretty cool experience now. So
Class.
Frank, had you done any running prior to this, and were you drunk at the time you found out about it? That's usually how marathon sign-ups and race sign-ups go. We're usually over a
This
few
is true.
drinks going, here, I have got a great idea. Had you done much running before?
thankfully I was sober at the time, but no, in terms of running experience, yeah, well, I came from a football background originally, and then had hip surgery, was out of sport for probably about 6 months to a year, and signed up the Dublin Marathon for Movember, funny enough, which is also the charity that we were working with. But yeah, did that, loved it, just caught the bug for running, and kind of become somewhat the personality now. So known around the offices, that's the fella that runs. So yeah, David reached out and we met through fitness and running anyways. So kind of all came together very well. So yeah, it was class.
Ben, when you found out the news, were you also sober? There's a trend here. None of you want to admit you're drinking. Ben, what was it like for you? And in terms of your background, were you similar? Was it the peer pressure of, I can't let one, the group mentality, I can't let one go and I not be the one that lets David down and gives him some of his cash back in case this ends up being not quite what he thought it was? What was that? It was like burning. What was that concert they organised that was never going to happen as well? This is
The Fire Festival.
everything
Like
everything that's about this
Fire
is just
Fest.
screaming that to me. Yeah, but Ben, what was it like for you? And again, what was your running background?
Yeah, I mean, look, the phrase emotional blackmail comes to mind. No, I'm joking. Like, so David and I, we had a brand there, and still do. It's ongoing, and we'll touch upon more of that in a bit, I'm sure. And we've been doing this, and again, to David's point, it has been something that we talked about for quite some time, just in the sense that it's cool. Like, it's just a cool thing that you can do. It'd be fun to get in. I never gave it as much thought as David evidently did, and he just hockeyed everyone on Instagram, anyone and everyone. And but I knew he was doing that, and it was funny. It was late at night on my end, and then, correct me if I'm wrong, David, you were in a club in Greece when the application came in.
Yes, David.
And yeah,
Good
Gary,
stuff.
exactly. And so we found out, and we just went crazy because it had been something that we'd always wanted to do. My background typically would be rugby, so that was kind of my background of fitness. But I'm not. I'm not a runner. Not at all. I'm more of I was typically a rugby player, more of a CrossFitter, like that kind of background. Got into the high rock thing, so did a lot of running, and did the Paris Marathon kind of off the back of that, just to give it a go, because it wasn't something I typically did. So I thought, here, look, let's give this a fair whack now that we can. And then off the back of that, then this opportunity came up, and I was like, well, I may as well try for my first ultra relay whilst I'm at it. And it all fell really, really nicely together. And it was just a great opportunity that couldn't turn down. And to your point, Eric, there was a bit of like, well, look, all the guys are doing it, and it'll be some crack. But yeah, no one can possibly comprehend or comment on the stench of that van after 2 days of running. Well, day and a half of running.
And David, you're in Greece, covered in cheesy chips, chicken burger, 3 a.m. You found out that you've got it after years and years and years of trying. How do you prepare for a race you know nothing about?
Yeah, that was the big one, to be fair. Yeah, it was in Greece, like 4 a.m. There was actually...
yes, this story is getting better. God damn it.
I was with a lad that actually was meant to be doing the race initially, but then pulled out because he was sick. But
soft. Sorry, your words. Mine was soft. Yours was sick. Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah. But so like he was there, and I got the email, and we were like, oh, we got in, and we were just like, we were absolutely buzzing. And then I decided to text all the lads at that time for some reason. It was like 4 a.m. I was like, I need to text them right now. Probably thought I was on something. Yeah, in terms of, it's so overwhelming when you got the email, because it was like, oh yeah, like here's the link, like Frank said, to sign your life away, essentially. Read through this whole massive pack, but everything that we can't cover you for, everything's on your own, you know what I mean? It was almost overwhelming. And then, yeah, you kind of just had to go step by step of what they were telling you, to be honest. You had no idea what kind of car to get, where to get it from, where to fly into. There was so much like unknowns. But I was kind of one of those ones you kind of just like actually just ask people as you went by as well. There was like a captain's call thing. There was like all the captains were on the call, and at the end I was kind of like, we're like one of very few teams that it was our first time doing a TSP race before. I think we were like one of like 3 or 4 teams. So at the very end I kind of went, here, I'm brand new here. How the hell do I do any of this? And they all just kind of chipped in and gave me a few tips and pointers and what kind of cars to get and what kind of cars to avoid and all this kind of stuff, which very much helped. To be honest, we kind of just winged a lot of it, to be honest. Like our strategy was definitely suboptimal, to put it simply. Like we had one van when other teams had an RV and a small car, and then their car went ahead and half their team slept and one other half ran. We all just sat in the car, stayed awake for like 30 plus hours, all just ate whatever the hell was around us, and just like my mom and dad fucking rotating, driving for like 30 hours. That was literally the strategy. Like,
well, I think that has to be the biggest achievement, as this was convincing your mom and dad to drive a car for 30 hours. So that's probably a pretty impressive achievement. And in terms of training in the group, and in terms of, like, I know you say you winged it, but even when we wing things, there is some element of structure. Training, maybe building it, like Ben mentioned off the back from Martin Frank at Dublin. What was the plan in terms of, obviously one person has to stay running. It is a race, so you're trying to beat other teams. So, and you're competitive. Let's call it a spade. You wouldn't do something like this if you hadn't got an element of competitiveness. So what was the strategy to try and win? Let's call a spade a spade. You weren't going to, it is just to take part, but you want to do well.
Yeah, for sure. I think when we were discussing it, we all said, like, we want to go here and do the best time we can, like, you know, do as best we can, get there as quickly as we can. So we did have a general strategy. We were like, let's just do like shorter lengths, essentially. So every team that seems to have done well based on prior experience or like research into the race, you know, done 3 kilometer stints, 2 kilometer stints, 1 kilometer stints. So we were like, let's just start off 3 kilometers, 2.5K, and then stick at that and run those as fast as we can for as long as we can until we get too tired, and then cut it back to 1.5, do that until we're too tired, then cut it back to 1 kilometer, and then do it like that, because we knew that we wouldn't be able to keep up the pace that we needed to hold, essentially, if we were to run any faster than that per leg. So in fairness to them, like my mom and dad and my sister, like it was actually like, it was very logistically difficult on their end. Like they were basically stopping the car by the end they were stopping the car every less than 4 minutes. You know, we were doing 1Ks, pulling in on some random areas up the side of the road that you definitely shouldn't have pulled in on, to make sure that one guy didn't break a leg because he was running like 200 meters more than he did the last time. So yeah, like it was very, we did stick to the strategy quite well, to be fair. While it was a basic strategy, it definitely worked, to put it that way.
3K hard, and then you're back out there like an hour later because there's 5 of you going or 15K, an hour 10, and then keep on going for 30 plus hours.
Yeah, so we probably held like 2.5, 3Ks for definitely the first, like, I don't know how lads, maybe like 12 hours maybe or more, maybe 15 hours.
How
And
many
then-
teams do this?
There was 37 teams, was there? 36 teams?
Oh, wow. Okay.
37?
So you're constantly seeing when the switch is coming over. You're still, I mean, if you're going hard, you're still seeing people somewhat near you and going that way for a good little bit.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, like at the start, like it's chaos. Like off the rip, there's just vans everywhere, people swapping everywhere. There's just people running across roads. It's 4 a.m. when the race starts. There's just people everywhere. Then as you kind of get like, 10 plus hours in, you kind of like find like your spot in the race where you keep seeing the two teams ahead of you, or the two teams before you, and you're always like meeting at the same like changeover points, and you're just like chatting away. Like it could be 2 a.m. and you're like, how are you guys doing? Do you have enough water or whatever? Even though you actually want to beat them, like you're actually trying to like actually try to be friendly.
Can I just take it a step back, Frank? When did you find out where you were flying to? Or was it just a mystery tour up until a week or two before?
Sorry, in terms of the
It's
start
the event
of
itself
race?
and the start line and what car you're going to have and all of that. When did you find out when this race, where you were flying into and how to get to the start line?
Yeah, well, to be fair, we kind of knew from the hop, when we got like accepted.
Once you're accepted? Okay.
Yeah, like we knew a race location, but it's one that you can't reveal, essentially. So as David mentioned, it's all very hush-hush and it's a very secretive race. They don't want anyone else to know the location of the start line. They ask every team not to disclose it. And it starts in the middle of Chamonix by like essentially the chapel in the main square, which is a bit crazy. Starts at 4 a.m. And you actually see like I remember I was booking the accommodation and I was like, oh, by the way, like we're checking out at 2:30, and they're kind of just like, what's wrong with you? Like, what's the story? And we rocked, in our running gear, hand the keys back, went to the square in Chamonix, and it was everyone was like trying to be quiet. You see like the local bakery opening up at the time, like, but they're just like, what is going on? All these people gathering. But in terms of logistics and flying in, we probably got it all completely wrong. Like we went to get the car, we flew into Geneva. We worked out that it was cheaper to get the car in Lyon, so we got a train to Lyon, arrived up to Lyon, and car rental companies, they are what they are. So we had a nightmare there. Ended up after paying like I think it was like £100 extra for the card or some terms and conditions. Obviously, we didn't read, so that was a bit of a sting. But to be honest, it was just like, let's just get to the start line and we'll be so much better for it. But yeah, sorry, as to David's point, like it's asking people. Like there's a crazy amount of planning and you learn as the race goes on. It's one of those things that come next year we'll be in a better position now to definitely improve on this year's time.
Ben, can I talk? Obviously, there's an element to this that you were doing for fundraising. And when you guys got in touch with us, it was about doing it for Movember, which you're associated with. How hard is it? Because we've all been that when we were kids, knocking on doors going, can you give me €2 for the concert? Are you singing? Maybe. It's easy to raise for a charity when the event is incoming and you are doing something for charity, or I'm going to do this marathon, climb this mountain. How difficult is it when you're associated with raising money to something you can't tell anyone about?
That's a great question. Really good question. No, we did rattle our brains around this because, to your point, it's significantly easier when you can say, this is what's happening, this is blah, blah, blah. David and all the lads did a very good job in terms of communicating with TSP around what can and can't be said. Because we made it very clear, like, that we're doing this for charity. We're not just doing this for, just completely ourselves. We may as well turn this into a charity thing, but we need at least some guidance on how we can present this prior. So they were very simply like, look, you can let them know distances. They can let you know, you can say it's like an ultra relay, but you can't be saying where it is, the specific dates. You can kind of say it'll be in this bracket of time and this is the distance. which is the main thing. It's kind of, gives a bit of urgency around the timeline, plus it gives context as to how big the endeavor is. So I think it'd be fair to say, on behalf of all the lads as well, like, we've incredible friends and family that's all they needed, which was amazing, and really great colleagues. So we're super thankful for them that we didn't need to massively sell the fundraising. Simply a figure and a rough timeline was all that was needed. Plus, to the kind of the question you asked lads earlier around the training piece, even though we were all kind of off the back of a marathon or off the back of some kind of like running piece, we're still training hard. People saw, all our friends and family saw, and colleagues saw the effort going into training days and the hours put in, and falling asleep on the laptop at work because you're shattered from your morning threshold session.
Just don't share this with your boss.
Yeah, exactly. He wasn't too happy. But yeah, it was all that kind of stuff. Really, it made it far easier sell than it probably could have been. Plus, whenever we were even contacting you lads during the race itself, the second that slot goes where we start, you can start saying what it is. You can start posting. You can start saying what it's for, give them the details, and like there was a significant spike then, comparative to the run up to that. So yeah, that made everything a lot easier. But again, whenever you're 4 a.m. in the middle of the French countryside, just off your nut on caffeine gels, and both your knees are about to blow, like the last thing you're thinking of is post on Instagram. So it was a good give and take.
Need fuel that keeps up with your pace? Meet Perform's Carb Gel with 30 grams of fast-acting carbs, powered by 3 fuel sources for sustained energy when it matters the most. Packed with cluster dextrin for smooth digestion and a steady release. No spikes, no crashes.
All that in a compact 40 milliliter sachet, tested under Informed Sport, so you know it's clean and competition ready. Whether you're chasing the podium or just in your next PR, Perform Carb Gel gets you there faster, longer, stronger. If you're looking to stock up, you can use the code AGR to get 20% off your order.
By listening to this advert, you are supporting Irish businesses and this Irish podcast. Time to get back to the episode. And Ben, when you were doing these training, what kind of strategy did you have for training? Because obviously now we know that, okay, we're doing 3K bursts and as long as we can. Mm-hmm. What was your training strategy? Because coming from a rugby background or a football background, obviously that's shorter is always better. Not necessarily maximum effort, but shorter is always in the beginning easier. But you'd done a marathon, so you knew holding pace for longer and then maybe having more rest time versus no sleep, maximum effort. How did you train to condition yourself to be standing in France at 4 a.m. and going, okay, this plan might actually work?
Yeah, no, it's a really good question. Like, so I had a coach, as simple as, so I didn't want to think about it and mess it up on my end. Like, so I had a coach, he helped me for the marathon as well. Matthew Boyle, he's amazing, he's a triathlete, top guy, zone 8 endurance. And so I was with him for a while, basically just doing threshold was kind of what the aim was. It's very much a 10K race if we think about it in terms of like how you're managing your load. Maybe a bit more, maybe 15, but still in and around that bracket. So a lot of threshold work, a lot of holding in that kind of like lactic buffer and just getting comfortable in that. To your point, I didn't have a massive background in that, and I had just been really enjoying learning more about running training, learning more about different zones and threshold training itself. So that was all great, and that's how we prepared. But that's what really helped everyone hold the pace. I feel what helped me hold the pace. I'd say I wasn't certainly compared to the other lads. I wouldn't be the strongest runner. Like, not say I'd be slow, but I wouldn't be as strong compared to the other guys, and that's what helped me hold that, was all those hours spent just doing the threshold sessions, double threshold days, along with way too many caffeine gels of whatever are. So that was basically the training technique, and it allows you to basically after 80 something kilometers, still start to drop like a 420, like between between a 410 and a 420, it still allows you to do that because you just know that you've done however many kilometers at this pace before. You can just go and do it.
So, David, when you're looking at the rest time for people, because obviously 30 hours or longer or shorter, you're at some point, you're already sleep deprived at the start line, let's call it space, because you check out your hotel at 2:30. Did you factor in any elements of getting up in the middle of the morning to go out and do a 3K? Like, I know there's other charity events, and I know David Goggins had his 4x4 by 48, where even Sean has done. I've joined him at 4 o'clock in the morning while he's doing stupid runs, going, why are you doing it? So I wasn't even running. No. But David, did you factor that element into your training, and as a group as a whole, did you get any training together in this kind of situation, or push yourselves in this kind of way?
Yeah, good question. To be quite honest about the whole sleeping thing, absolutely not. No, we didn't. But we did have obviously it's tough to get 6 lads together on a regular basis, just in general. But we did have like a training weekend as well at one point. Surprisingly, like a lot of the team members didn't actually know each other in ways. A few of us met for the first time ever on this training weekend. So we were like, let's have a weekend where we actually meet up and get to know each other. And also we hit a pretty big weekend of training. So I think we kind of tried to simulate a little bit of the feeling that weekend, but nothing in terms of the sleep deprivation, which I think surprisingly didn't really hit us as hard as we thought it was going to, would be a fair statement. I think we all just were in the mindset that like we just have to thug it out, to be honest. And like I can speak for all the boys that they're well able to do that. Like say, I think Ben and Frank both didn't get literally a single second of sleep for the whole thing. And they didn't phase them once. And like the rest of the lads maybe got like max like 2 hours, maybe like that's maximum. Like I think we all knew that would be the least of our worries, if that makes sense. Biggest worry I think for most of us was whether we're going to just be able to hold the pace that we were like planning on holding. Like would we have the legs essentially to hold on for that long? Was more the worry. So yeah, surprisingly, we didn't really take the sleep deprivation into much account, and I think we also knew that it wasn't going to be like multiple days as well. So we knew it wouldn't have like an absolute detrimental impact. It would obviously have an impact in some way, but we knew that it wouldn't be like the be all or end all of the race. So yeah, we probably would have helped if we put a bit more time into prepping for it, but we didn't. Maybe for next year.
David, did you say the first time most of you met each other was at this training before? What is the link between the 6 of you then? Because I've just not known people that well and going through all the traveling, the changing the car rentals and all the rest, and then like me and Eric could barely deal with each other the best of times, let alone 2:30 in the morning, the feck all sleep, try and check out of a hotel and not kill each other. So like what is the connection with the 6 of you, and how do the 6 of you then come together and go, we're doing it for this and we're doing it for Movember as well?
Yeah, I suppose it was a bit of a random sort of link. Like it's obviously difficult to get someone to commit to running across France for over 400 kilometers. So while I had like a few like immediate yeses, like Frank and Ben and whoever else, Connor as well, we had to sort of like people kind of like lean on their connections. So for example, like Frank and Connor would be very, very close. So Frank said he knew someone, called him in, and then we were looking for someone else. Frank said he knew someone else, which was Owen, which none of us, like Ben and I have never met Owen before, but he has a big ultra running background, trails. We were like, this guy sounds like the shit. Let's get him on board. And he did. And then we also, the last person that came on, James, Ben and I knew him from previous sort of fitness endeavors, but like the rest of the team, the other half of the team never met him before. So, and by this point as well, I only knew Frank for a very short period of time, maybe a couple of months, if even. So we were also very newly acquainted. So I think it was though that when we all agreed to it, it's that kind of says enough. Like if someone agrees to do something like that and you haven't never met someone before, you know that they're going to be a pretty open-minded, up for anything, and we're all on kind of have a similar mindset. So also as well, like a few of the members in the team have done events in the past for Movember. So when that like kind of aspect arose, it was kind of a no-brainer. And then when we met up, like we all just kind of clicked, like, which I think was that was a good weekend as like, I suppose, a tester. But like we think we knew from chatting before that we're all going to get on really well. But that weekend, like all the boys came down to my home place, which is down in Kilkenny. Spent the weekend there, and like, I mean, if you can spend a weekend with a group of lads, you probably spend a couple of hours in the van with them. So while we did probably push each other's buttons a bit in the van, and nothing actually, there was never any issues there at all. Like the morale stayed high throughout the whole thing. Like everyone, it was class. Everyone got on so well. Couldn't have asked for a better team.
And David, what was the plan? Because obviously you had spent a lot of time researching, so you knew-ish. I'm going to say ish. I'm going to make an assumption that you know what teams are trying to achieve in terms of time. It was only the second year, I think, in France you mentioned. So maybe you were just basing it off the year before. Did you have that level of information? And if so, then when you set the strategy for each individual, as Ben mentioned, he's probably not as strong in certain aspects. Did every individual set forth their pace that they said, I'm going to stick to? Or did you go with a team pacing that, look, we just need to hit this because we want to hit the 100K at so many hours? Or what was the strategy there?
Yeah, again, probably our strategy there was probably just very much like not very structured for all the world. We didn't really discuss that at all. We were all kind of just like, let's all just absolutely ruin ourselves. And if you have anything left by the end, you've done it wrong, essentially. And so like, everyone knew their pace immediately. Like after your first rep, like, you know what you can hold essentially for like 85, 90% 3K for. And you said, then it was like everyone, I think there was also this level of like, everyone was holding that 90% for so long, and you almost felt obliged then that you couldn't drop your pace. Like if you dropped your pace, like you're leaving everyone down, which was awesome in a way. Like everyone, it was just this unspoken way of like, we just need to hold this. Like after that rep, if you knew that you were like holding the same pace or holding a good pace, you just had to hold it for the rest of the thing. And I think we were all like, we were trying to put down a performance that we were proud of. We didn't necessarily want to come fourth or do it in X amount of hours or whatever. It was just like, let's go out there and put down a performance that like we can go back and say like we smashed that. And that just, the way that they have the race ran, considering it's not a race, they couldn't actually post a leaderboard because that would say it's a race. So what they used to do is they used to post a podcast episode on the hour every hour and delete the previous podcast episode. And then in the podcast, they would announce a list of the names of all the teams in descending order of how close they are to Marseille. So it wasn't a list, it wasn't a leaderboard, it was just a list. So then I remember they were like really late posting the first podcast episode because they had like whatever, some tech issue or something. So we didn't know for like a good few hours in kind of whereabouts we even were. We were like, we don't even know if we're doing shit, if we're good, we haven't seen a team for hours. We could be even off the beaten track here. We've no clue where the hell we could be. Then they posted a thing and we were like, I think we were like 12th or something, or 11th. We were like, holy, that blew our minds. We're like, that's way big. That's way better than we thought we would even do like by the end. So we're like, lads, we're smashing this. So then I think after that first one, we were like, let's just hold this. Like if we can hold this, we're going to be good, essentially. So it kind of gave us a nice, like, I suppose, like level where we know that this is a good pace, like let's hold this, we know we're good. And then as went on, like, you know, on the hour, every hour, or however often they would post a podcast, we check it and we're like, we got up to 8th, and then like 7th, and then like 6th, and then we got up to like 5th, and then coming into like the last, I don't know what it was, like 30 or 40K, we were in 4th. And then I think at that point it was just like, lads, we can't fuck this up now, like, because we saw the teams like ahead of us and behind us, like coming into Marseille, like, you know, you literally saw them in the streets of Marseille, like running around, and you're like, these lads could beat us by literally a minute or 2 minutes. Like, it's crazy that like 30 plus hours comes down to literally almost like, it came down to minutes in the end. But between us and like say 5th place came in, like, I think it was like 2 minutes after or something, or more, maybe a bit more, but it was literally minutes. So I think at that point, we're like, screw the pacing. Everyone get out and just literally run the fastest 1K that you could possibly run and get back in the van. And it worked out in the end, which is great. So yeah, basically no strategy, but like we all just kind of knew what we had to hold, essentially.
That is the most ballsiest no strategy I think I've heard in 290 odd episodes of the podcast, guys. But when we're talking about relays, stuff like that, and we've had people in the podcast that have done relays across Ireland and stuff, and they've changed every I can't remember, Eric, was it 10, 20 kilometers, stuff like that? I'm like, Jesus, that's too long. But fuck me, a kilometer switch. But coming in fourth, like how the lactic acid buildup, like we've talked about before on the podcast, we prefer to do a marathon than 5K, because after 2-3K with 5K, you just want to get sick. And like I have left 5Ks feeling worse than maybe not a marathon, but a half marathon definitely, where I'm just seized up and like the body's just, I'm limping around for a day, whatever. To push that hard and then knowing you're going to go back pushing, what are you doing in the van? What are you doing to recover apart from just energy drinks the way you go? It's just, is it youth? Is it what's going on here? Because I know if I push that hard for a kilometer sprint, I'm like, Eric, I'll see you in 2 hours, pal. You know, because especially after 20, 30 hours.
I also need context. How big is this van? Because that makes kind of the answer to this question.
Wasn't big enough.
9-seater, was it? Yeah. Like
a Volkswagen Caddy and everyone's in the back.
Basically, like it was.
That pretty much it.
It was.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, no, there was no. It wasn't a fancy big thing. It was 9 seats, every single seat full, and it was basically again. It was just kind of like collective buzz, but also equal parts. Collective misery at certain points where you're just everyone's hurting. The lactic acid actually, it never really got to that many people, but it's the stiffness of the van because you're so cramped that the first 500 meters of getting out of that van, it's like your legs are trying to break out a plaster cast because you're just, you have to hit a pace. Like that's just in your head because everyone else has and you can't not. You just have to do it. So trying to get up to speed like that whilst...
Like Forrest Gump with the braces on.
Oh, literally like Forrest Gump with the braces on. Like I remember, but also there was in the night, like there was a bit of like I described it as like a flow state moment between like us three, like David, Frank and I, where like, one lad was having GI issues and there was a couple of guys sleeping and injuries. Niggles started to appear at this point of the race. So we just started ripping caffeine gels and just doing 1.5 to 2 to 3Ks back to back for like 2 hours, just over and over and over again. And then suddenly,
sorry, even that, right? The GI issues, and then you're loading caffeine. So like, I'm definitely going out the back end with that one. And because you're doing 1 to 3 kilometer splits, that is between, I'm running at a 4:10 pace. That's between 4 and 12 minutes every time you change a kilometer stuff down the road. Where are you getting time to go for a piss? Like what? Like when is the? Like when are you out of the car? Because the car's got to be a kilometer down the road for the next person to come off. Is the car coming back for you and then going forward again? Like I did a 24-hour race there a year and a half ago. Man, I must have made there was a time where I spent 15 minutes at the tent having a good cry to myself, but I made like 4 or 5 different clothing changes and new socks to feel better and all the rest. None of you is crammed into a Volkswagen Caddy, or whatever the van was. That's very hard to do and get your toilet changed and all that. How did that even work?
It was ignorance is bliss. Like for a little bit of that as well. Like it's kind of when you have no idea, you just kind of make it up. And thankfully, a huge amount of credit has to go to David's family as well for essentially keeping the peace, because none of us could act up around them. There was no way that was allowed. If anyone did act up, they'd get beat by the other ones around here, because they were sacred. Exactly. So that helped. That kept everything down. The strategy around the bathroom was basically like do it quickly, and it's a set, and it would be like you would take a longer segment. So maybe someone would do like a 3 to 5K, so you have a bit more breathing room. It was still tight turnarounds. Like for example, there's Connor, who knew Frank originally, and David then knew him. We all met. Connor's like ex-Island running, guy rapid. He was dropping like 320s. Is that fair? 310s.
I think he averaged 330 for 80 kilometers.
He averaged 330 for 80, like a freak show. So it was basically, if he was running, it was like, lads, tough. You're not going, because by the time we actually get there, he met us there. Yeah, we had like 30 seconds break.
Just
because
too
we just
fast.
ran with the car. It was hilarious. Particularly, sorry, one thing that was really funny is that if we were ever coming up to someone, if we ever saw someone up ahead of us, we just pulled in the big guns, which was Connor. It was like having like a dog on a muzzle, and because he's so competitive,
Just
he has
letting
like
him
this
off the
like
leash.
itch. So we're like, just get ready, like just get warm. And the second he went out, he blew past him and just like ruined the morale. And then we got him back in the car and just fed him like an attack dog. It was class.
Yeah.
Unreal. With this, is there an honesty policy to this in terms of the run itself? Because I see someone doing 330 splits over 80k. I'm like, holy
I'd be staying
fuck,
in the
hang on.
van.
Yeah,
See you in Marseille, baby.
He needed a toilet break, and never mind. But like, is that how that works? It's an honesty policy there in terms of or do you have a tracker on you, or what way does that work?
I think we all just kind of, we were all tracking on Strava and watches. So we had the Garmin's, and I think Ben made the point earlier about, we were trying to post on Instagram and keep all the social media going at the time. And I know initially I had like my Strava, and I'd hop back in the car and I'd do like, a nice Strava caption and take a photo and do a video and an update. And then the Strava's absolute comedy is like 80 segments over 32 hours because they just kept gradually getting shorter, and the captions were like gradually getting shorter, and like you just see the 4 a.m.
Smiley face.
Yeah, it's like, this is actually hard now. This is not a bit of crack, So so I did it. The honesty policy just came from tracking on the watch, to be honest. Definitely wasn't like the.
Sorry, Sean, do you mean how, like, honestly,
from the organisers? Yeah, like
from the organisers. No, not you guys.
Yeah.
From the organisers in terms of the race, and like, for example, you send Connor out and he passes you, and all of a sudden you don't see a runner pass you, but you see a car pass you, and you look ahead and there's someone running ahead. You're like, how the fuck you didn't get ahead of me? How does that work?
Yeah, I think. Well, honestly, I think it is just like, if you go to the effort to get into the race and then cheat, it's like, what are you doing?
Yeah,
and
I agree.
also everyone that they invite is like sort of high profile for all the world. So I think just based on the clientele that are there, they probably, like, there's no one's going to like cheat the system. Like, why would you fly to France, get into this prestigious race or hard to get into race, and then like just drive the whole way to Marseille? So I think that was kind of part of it. But they did have, when we went, we had like a safety briefing before the race started, and at the safety briefing they got one of our team members to link up to Find My iPhone on their side. So they had one of our members always tracked. So that's how they knew where every team was and who was ahead of who and whatever else. So I suppose if they saw you suspiciously moving really quick all of a sudden or something, alarm bells would ring off. But I think just like, it's a bit of an honesty policy. Like, just, why would you go to this extent to then just drive all the way from Chamonix to Marseille and cheat the whole system? And realistically, you're not winning anything. Like, all you really get from this race is just like the same medal as everyone else and a bit of pride, I suppose, if you win. But in this, like, so there's no real incentive to actually cheat at all. So if you do, like, you're honestly kind of sad, to be honest.
Yeah, no, 100% agree. I suppose the end of the race. So who's that last person going into Marseille, and how did that all break down at the very end? Because you said it was getting close within minutes and stuff there. And then did you know when this last person came across, they were fourth, or is there a story there?
I think Ben has a good story here.
I hope Ben had GI issues. Come on, Ben.
This shitty my way to be Marseille. Oh no, that last leg, excuse my language, like, fucking sucked. Like, it was rough. So it was basically, what happened was Connor finished his rapid leg in minus 30 seconds, and in my head, the way I worked out, there's about 7k left to the end. Through Marseille. Now, it transpired at the very end that what people do is they all drop the cars and get bikes and cycle through. We didn't know this. We just thought driving is the way forward. So I was like, look, I'll do my 1.5k, which was roughly at the top of the hill in Marseille, at the top of one of the hills in Marseille. I'll finish off there. They'll collect me, and then by the time it gets around, everyone will run together to the beach. I swapped with Connor. I was like, right, this is my last run. Fine, just 1k left. That would take me to like 89, 90 kilometers. I'm like, great, I'm happy with that. Got to the top of the hill, and it's just traffic everywhere. Like, as far as I could see, crazy, crazy traffic. And again, bear in mind, like 29, 30 degrees heat, like you're sweating, and it's just stinking at this roundabout, chock-a-block. And just like, I just kind of swallowed to myself. I was like, just gonna have to take us on the chin. Because again, at this point, you're still hyper aware that there's people around you running with, in other
Yeah.
teams that are like 2 minutes away. So you're like, I can't just wait for them. So I just went running, and it was really cool. You get to the top of the hill, it was gassed, but you start running down through Marseille, which is quite fun. Like you go through this big, massive historical arch, and you're sprinting down the opposite side of the road because the pavement was taken up by cars, and the other one was chock-a-block. So you're just running into traffic, like barreling into the center of like the port. And you get there, and you just follow your tracking on your phone, which at this point had like 3%. And you're running through it all. And I remember running, getting to the flat bit, and it was really starting to feel it. Because you're kind of like 2K, 2.5K into it, again, trying to hold pace. And I ran through, and I kind of turned a corner, being like, I'm not far to the end. Hopefully they'll catch me here, like the guys in the van. And you turn the corner, and it's just vertical. It's just up. It's just this massive, like the steepest hill I could possibly imagine. It probably wasn't even that bad. At this point in time, it was the worst thing I could have ever seen. So I turned the corner. I was like, you're just going to have to firm this. And the only thing going through my head at the time was, at one stage at the very, very start, there's guys kind of, joking around, but like shouting at us as we ran past, being like, oh, we're going to get you, blah, blah, blah. So I'm like, right, this is just in my head. I can't lose to them. Like these like infrared, I can't lose to them. So I just started like sprinting up the hill. At this point, you are like limping running. Like there's no way I was holding 420 up this hill. Like I was dying. Eventually, it got to the top, which is where this church was, or something like that. And again, at this point, I'm like 4 or 5K in, something like that, in around there. And I was, again, like seeing stars. It was absolutely bossed. And called David, being like, one, I'm going to be useless here in the run into the beach. Try and get there first, because I'm really struggling. And two, I have no directions left. I have 1% of my phone. Like, if you lose me, we're all snickered. So like, you need to get me here at some stage. And then literally, as soon as I say that, Deck Gan comes over the hill, somehow having Tokyo drifted his way through the Marseille traffic in a 9-seater.
Love the reference.
I don't know how he did it, and picks me up, backs me into the back of the van, and who else but Connor just gets whipped out and just let go and holds like 2:15 to the end of, he didn't, but like 2:15 to the end of the beach, and then we made it in the end fourth, as I had my head in the bin after that. But that was the last leg of it.
So this finish line, what is it? Like, is it, because obviously it's an unsanctioned race and all the rest, is it literally just you touch the beach, the sand, and you're done? Or what ways the finish work?
Yeah, so it was the way you finish was your whole team had to run into the beach, and then you had to take a picture of all your team in the water, like in the ocean, and then send into the group chat that they all had, and then that's how they would determine if you finished. So yeah, like we were still stuck. Connor was actually, we picked up Ben, and when Connor was doing the last like couple of K to the beach, the traffic was still absolutely awful at this point. Like, it was so bad. We were stuck in traffic. Like, and Connor was actually well done. Like he was finished. Like, he was standing on the beach waiting for us, and we were stuck in the car and we couldn't get to Connor. And again, like, we're like, the team's like right behind us. Like, and then, so we kind of turned the corner and we were like, when will we all get out and like run this last like couple of 100 meters? Like, when will we actually just get out of the car and like just essentially ditch my parents in the car?
Yeah.
And just all, so yeah, at one point it was like, we were literally like on like maybe 200 meters away from the beach, 300 meters away from the beach. We're like, let's just like all get out and run. So we all hobbled up to meet Connor. And Connor's like waiting on us there. Like, he just didn't even run like 80 or 90 kilometers. And then we all just ran in, dived in. My sister was there with us. She took a picture. There's actually other teams on the beach there as well, and they were like cheering us in. So at that point, I think for Percy anyway, all the kind of pain went away for like a couple of minutes, because you're just like, oh my God, we're actually fucking made it. We're here. Like, let's just get into the water and get it. And then, yeah, it was a class feeling, to be honest. It was such a good feeling. Like we all kind of like arms around each other in the water, and yeah, it was sick. It was really cool. Really cool finish.
So you all get in, you get wet, you cool down. It was probably found out where you were chafing that you didn't even know where you were chafing in places with the salt water. How smelly was the van when you got back in?
Jesus, Eric.
Could you even look at the van afterwards?
I think that's probably one for David's parents to answer. It's probably me.
When you all got around, I'm guessing you spend a night then, or hopefully even 2 nights in Marseille and soak up a little bit of the atmosphere and the other teams. Maybe we're giving away the secrets here, David. Do you get an automatic invite for the next one now that you're in and part of the circle of trust, or what way does it work for you guys now? Is the plan, someone alluded to, is to try again next year? Maybe it was a joke, maybe it's not. What happens now?
Yeah, I suppose what we can say is that we're definitely not finished with TSP anyway. That's what I would say. And probably not the same. We'll be doing a different race. That's not Europe. Put it that way.
Okay. Your mom and dad still going to drive the van?
They definitely are, yeah. And we're going to pimp them out with a nice RV or something this time. That's our plan. Just say thanks.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And lads, obviously this was for charity. So before we start to wrap it up, how can people still support? Because as this is released, then we're in Movember. How can people support and join in what you are doing and maybe track what you guys do in the future?
Yeah, cheers. So our main, I suppose, platform is Instagram. So our team Instagram is @team_and_again. That's where we posted most of the content for the race, and we'll continue to be posting content for our future endeavors. We have a lot planned for going into 2026, and the link to donate to the Movember is still open and is still in the bio on our page, and then also on all of our personal Instagrams as well, which you can find on the And Again page. We're tagged in all the posts, so we have a link there from Movember. So any support we appreciate on that. We have a documentary as well being released. We had 2 videographers over with us. I wanted to give a big shout out to them as well. Harry O'Toole and Joe Ladrigan, they came over to France with us and shot the whole thing. And also, even before the race, they shot with us as well. So they were absolutely amazing. So we have a documentary being made from those guys and been released in December as well. Yeah, if you want to stay in tune with that when it goes live, definitely follow our page and you can keep in touch that way.
David, you had a reel out a couple of weeks before this. You talked about how this race was a metaphor for why you're doing it for Movember. As deeper as how little you want to talk about that, being that when this podcast comes out, it is November. Those 60 lads, and obviously that's got a deeper meaning going through that. Is there anything you want to talk about that when it comes to Movember, the 60s going through this, and why you keep picking Movember as a charity to raise money for?
Yeah, for sure. Like, I suppose personally, I'm lucky that I haven't had a crazy amount of mental health issues or anything serious in terms of mental health, which I'm very grateful for. But obviously, as most people, they have friends or family or someone close to them that has experienced something like that. And I suppose, yeah, this race definitely, like you said, is a metaphor and sort of is why we chose 6 lads to do it together. Like mental health, men's mental health especially, like the biggest thing is having people there that you feel comfortable enough to speak about your problems to. And the fact that you can, like, I suppose this race is a metaphor. It's like, I thankfully have people around me that would say yes to something as crazy as a race like this, basically because I was so passionate about it that they would support me to do it. And also the race is tough and it's hard, and like things come up through the race that like you think you won't be able to get through, and maybe we might have gotten through it if we were there on our own. But the fact that we were there with like other men and other amazing people around me, and I suppose lads would probably hopefully say the same thing. That's how we got through it. You had someone there to tell you you can keep going. You're fine. You're good. You'll be fine. And I think it's a cool metaphor there, where it's like it's same as anything else in life. If you're going through something tough and you feel like you have no one to like kind of give you a bit of support, you feel a bit lost. But thankfully, in this situation, it's cool. It's like it's like life. If you have people around you that will support you, you'll get through anything. So yeah, for sure, it was a cool message, and it was great to do it for Movember as well.
Lads, we'll have the links for that in the show notes. And That's fucking ballsy strategy to go. What just did there, and I still can't get over. That's how you approach it. I have so much respect for that. I thought I did silly things, but look, it worked out. He's got fourth. Absolutely unbelievable, lads. Fair play to you. Best of luck what you do next. We'll have those links and stuff in the show notes, so hopefully some people donate to that. Very, very important cause. Myself and Eric know, unfortunately, a bit too well on that one as well. Best of luck with it, guys. And now we're going to wrap it up for this week's episode of the Any Given Day podcast. Myself, David, Ben, Frank, and Eric.
And everyone else in the van, by the way. Take care.